Welcome back to the Lift Free and Diet Hard podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Coates. Join me along with industry leaders and friends on a quest to get more people through the gym door and eating and living healthier. Join me where evidence meets empathy while rejecting fitness industry fads and extremism. Let's begin. Mike Doehla, it's good to have you back, my friend, many-time guest on the podcast in the past. And you're here to talk about a very specific thing. So I'm going to set this up. You are the founder, architect, and the mind behind Stronger You. I guess it's a company that you built with, I don't know, dozens upon dozens of coaches, hundreds, thousands of clients, I think. And you had an eight-figure exit, an unknown number, but you had an eight-figure exit, very successful several years ago. You ultimately left it. And recently, Stronger You announced that it ceased operations. Okay. And I also understand that, and I had trouble backing up these numbers, but in the somewhat recent past, Precision Nutrition, the sort of like original iconic nutrition educational company, would have sold for something in the order of about $200 million originally many years ago. And recently it sold, I've heard the number 3 million. I don't know if that's accurate, but certainly it's a tiny, tiny sliver. And I also know that there are ripples with other nutrition coaching companies. Has the nutrition coaching landscape changed?
I mean, yeah, but I don't think that should scare people. I think it should put people on notice and let people think about why these things may have happened and what they can do to prevent them. But I don't think I think everything changes all the time. I mean, even during the time I owned Stronger You or Berardi owned Precision Nutrition, things changed and it still worked, you know?
So we can go through a bunch of things and a bunch of trends. Do you think that the rapid proliferation of GLP-1 agonist medications and the new generations are part of what's going on? Do you think they're affecting nutrition coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting because I'm overall pro GLP-1. I think they're a net positive for the world. And if we're being honest, I think the good ones in the industry got into the industry because we wanted to help people.
Mm.
Also, obviously, we wanted to make money and have a career because real jobs kind of suck. Let's be honest. So yeah, I think they're a great thing. I think they are making people clients per se choose what to do because you and I and every other coach that probably listens to this is like, well, you got to lift, you got to have some muscle, still need to eat fiber and protein, or you're just going to get like skinny fat, right? Which is what we don't want people to do. We don't want them to lose a bunch of muscle. We don't want them to not have nutritious foods, and the GLP-1s can cause that accidentally because they're just, suppressing people's appetite and they're not paying attention to what they eat. They just want to be less fat. And I think a lot of fitness professionals are realizing that that is what a lot of our clients came to us for, no matter what our language was, no matter how good we were, no matter how experienced we were. A lot of people that we help come to us because they want to be lighter. They want to lose fat. They want to look better. They want to be healthier, whatever. And if they think that these drugs can do it faster and easier, why wouldn't they do that? And that's where there's the opportunity for the coaches. And I think online training specifically is going to benefit from this and online fitness training. So if you're just a nutrition coach that's yelling fat loss, I think you have to you have to change your language a little bit and talk more about the downsides of not lifting, eating protein, eating fiber, eating nutritious foods. But it's not going to kill your business if you know how to adapt and talk to the people. But I don't think the language is GLP-1s are lazy, you're going to wither away and your bones are going to break when you're 80. Like that's not the language. That's the language of the fitness professional that's insecure and scared.
Do you think some people are faced with a choice between $400 to $500 a month for their drugs and $400 to $500 a month for their nutrition coaching?
Yes, when it seemingly does a similar thing, which is again why the language has to be adjusted, but also you could argue that about anything. Like I used to get in debates internally at Stronger You that I loved paid in full sessions because if something ever comes up and you have a monthly membership, Like somebody gets a flat tire, guess what they're going to get rid of? They're going to get rid of their coach.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So people always have numerous things competing for their dollars. And obviously, more so now that the GLP-1 seems like it does the same thing as a just fat loss coach. But we're
Mm.
not, I mean, I'm not anything right now, but coaches are not just fat loss people. I think fat loss gets people in the door, but it's one of those things like give them what they want, sell them what they need, which
Mm.
is what I'm so proud of. What we did at Stronger You was maybe a lot of people came to us for fat loss, but we improved every aspect of their life, and we have the surveys to prove it. Um, it's just the language and the intensity and the passion that you have as a coach, and I think the ones that seemingly just do fat loss are going to go away.
That makes a lot of sense. I think there's another variable here too, and you've danced around it a bit, is it's not just the choice between the drugs and nutrition coaching. There's also the increased emphasis on strength, muscle, which hopefully most of the people or more of the people who are looking at these drugs understand that this is the thing you have to also complement it with. So if
Right.
someone's now faced with a choice between, the cost of the drugs, if they're not covered by whatever plan you have, and I know that changes with different people, places, whatever countries, the choice of a nutrition coach and a choice of a personal trainer who happens to be able to train them in the strength, the muscle building stuff, who also happens to know a lot about nutrition, which I think most personal trainers really should be versed there. Well, to me, it seems pretty logical that the nutrition only coach, unless they're very, very good, is
Yeah.
probably the one who loses in that equation.
Yeah, I think so. But also like the nutrition only coach is also like a buddy to people. It's a community creator. It
Mm.
answers so many questions and problems that these people have that they might not know. So yeah, man, if you're just a coach that's like, and this is what I see. This is like my observation being outside the field now is a lot of people got away from having people track food because
Mm.
like I don't know, I feel like a few loud people were like, "Oh, it's messing up their mindset. They're looking at food as numbers." And I'm like,
Mm.
"No, it's solving the problem these people have always had, which is they have no fucking idea how much they eat.
Mm.
And they tell you they would bet their child's life that they eat 1,200 calories and they don't lose weight. And now, obviously, there's some people that 1,200 calories, unfortunately, is where they need to be if they're like a smaller female.
Mhm.
But it's always the people that are like, oh, I do everything right. I just can't figure it out. And it's like, well, now we're gonna help you do that. The GLP-1s kind of prove that argument that I've always had is starvation mode is bullshit, and people just eat more than they think,
Mhm.
drink more than they think, move less than they think. So there's so much to this stuff, and it's like you gotta the industry hates being friends with their clients for some fucking reason. I'm sorry if I'm cursing too much, but
No, please.
I feel like there's over the last like 10, 12 years, a lot of these books came
Mm.
out and they're like, you need boundaries, you need to drop empathy, you need
Mm.
to answer email only twice a day. And it's like all these big name like pop psychologists people, which are great people, don't get me wrong. They put out really good information. But just how we tell our clients, like, hey, maybe don't pay attention to that information because that information is not for you, right? Like, for example, you see like how a marathon runner eats, and then someone's like, I work out, I should eat like that. Well, no, you do CrossFit or you just lift like 3 days a week. You don't need that much food. So we as business people or coaches or whatever have to think the same way. Is a book about, I don't know, checking email twice a day good when your job is literally answering email and to be fast,
Mhm.
right? Or a business book comes out and it's like the most important person in your business is a current customer. And I'm like, yes, that's true because that person, if they're treated well, will tell everybody. Like we are
Mm.
proof of that working. But then like, and I used to get pushback from coaches on this. I used to say, listen, if you have like 20 check-ins in your inbox and we sent you a new member, answer that new member first. Make the current clients wait because they don't know they're waiting anyway. And it takes
Mm.
you 2 minutes to onboard a new client and get them the information. So like there's so many little things that I think coaches could do. And where I get excited when I talk to coaches and I'm like, yo, let me see how you onboard somebody. And like right now, like I don't do any like official consulting or anything. I can't until June 1st, non-compete stuff. But I'll have conversations with people and just like answer questions, but their onboarding is like kind of shitty. Like they don't want to give cell phone numbers. They don't want to answer anybody like after a certain time of day, which I kind of get because you want that work-life balance, but also like you chose this job. This is your life. This not the job is your life, but your life has all these like fractured periods of the day where like you wake up, you do your thing, maybe you answer some stuff, then you go to the gym, then you come back and you answer some stuff, and then you have dinner with your family, then you answer some stuff. Like it's this is what people want. And if you're battling with a drug and AI right now, you better be so good at being there for people because there are so many people out there that still want people to answer their questions and to be their buddy in this challenge.
A quick break from this episode to shout out RP Strength and the RP Hypertrophy app. I have a big confession. I've never used a coach before. I've always auto-regulated my training for decades. But I've known Dr. Mike Isertel and Nick Shaw, the founders of RP, for years, and I'll get behind anything they create, including years of reading their books, consuming their media, attending their seminars, and having them as guests on the show. And I've been using the RP Hypertrophy app now for several months. And several things have happened. It forced me to make smaller and more gradual but better increases in weight volume across time, like putting 5-pound plates on each side of a leg press. Like who does that? Never before. Only 45s. It cut out the junk volume. It made my workouts faster and more efficient. I show up with a plan. I didn't have to think about what to do. I feel more accountable having a log my progress. And I don't skip things because I don't feel like it. If hiring a one-on-one coach isn't for you, using the RP Hypertrophy app is the next best thing to manage your gains and to take the guesswork out of your program. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free, and if you don't like it, they'll give you your money back. And I've also got you a $50 US dollar discount, so go to rpstrength.com/coats and use the code COATSRP, or go to the link below in the show notes. That's rpstrength.com/coats and use the code COATSRP. There's a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to riff off a couple things. No, that's good. I'm going to riff off a few things first. I always tell the story when I do presentations for coaches because I'm with you. You got to be really prompt in responding. There was a guy who joined the gym that I contracted out of years ago, and he picked 2 profiles off the wall, emailed us both. I responded to him within a couple hours, had him booked the next day. Went great. He was training his first session next day after that. Then the next day after that, the other coach responded by email. I trained that guy 4 times a week for several years. The other coach didn't last much longer in that facility. Draw your own conclusions. I was sitting around for my birthday recently and have my close friends around. Most of them had at one point or other actually been a client many years ago. Some actually started as friends, became clients. A lot had actually started as clients. I had lunch with one of my closest friends. Again, he started as a client 15 years ago. He brought me his brother, his mom. His mom is now this awesome human being who's like a second mom to me, who does my house clean. She owns a cleaning company. She comes in and takes care of Ozzy when I'm traveling. She's epic. My life is full of incredible people I met as gym members and as clients. It doesn't mean every single client is probably going to be a great fit as a close friend, but I'll use another example, Dal. She listens to these. She's a great nutrition coach. She's a great friend. We're recording this 2 weeks from now. We'll be heading down to Real Coaches Summit, a ROMS event. And, I told her at one point, she's like, you're so hungry and savvy about learning. And she would dive into your podcast appearances. She was a huge fan of your philosophy, Jeb Stuart Johnson, who she also now mentors with. And I said, you have to take a nutrition certification. She devoured it. You have to coach. And now she's a really successful, sought after, very well liked coach. She's got a podcast with her friend Carmi, which is doing well. And Dell's a great friend. So I think it's nuts. And then the final thing I'll say there is all of my one-on-one clients, online, nutrition, in person, have my cell. They can text me anytime. I have no sound notifications on. It doesn't disturb my day. Okay, so you alluded to this. We're going to skip ahead because I wrote an article on my Substack about this. I had a post about it, and I brought something to your attention, and you posted about it as well. And it's this bullshit where, let me find my notes because I have to get this just right. The emerging trend where coaches are already and will use AI to fake text interactions.
Yeah.
And they're going to be using this. This is already there, and it will get very aggressive really quickly. They will dump voice and video samples into
AI to send automated videos that can be personalized with someone's
Yeah.
name to fake that they're actually talking to you. So I'm warning people about this because I've used voice and text and even video messages for years, and many people will literally credit me for popularizing this, for better
Yeah.
or for worse. And now all of a sudden you have this class of the scummiest business gurus in the industry who are teaching their people this because these people want to systemize, automate, and scale themselves out of interacting with anybody.
Yeah.
To what you said earlier, I don't even think these people belong in the industry, but unfortunately, they're going to screw this up. Thoughts?
So I so I guess in defense of the person that inspired my thoughts on that, he wasn't talking about like faking the voice, but
Oh,
that's
he's
that's
fine.
here that's coming.
He's fine. He
Yeah,
backed down.
that's
You and
here
me
that's
going at
coming.
him. He's
Yeah.
a great dude. He backed down on the language he
Yeah.
chose in his post was bad, but then he walked it back in other things he said. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
fine, but
So
the still's out. The stuff's still out there. Sorry.
right, so there's softwares out there where like you can record a bunch of your voice. It will have you sample a bunch of different things. It will take your voice and it can make you say anything, reply to anyone, uh, get a message from a potential client or a follower or whatever, and it can craft a message that sounds like you. So it's not you doing it, but the person on the other end is like, oh, I talked to Mike. And there's something about it that's just it's so fake to me because like you're if anytime you're pretending that like you're talking to someone as you, I think it's just probably shouldn't do that, right? And then you take the actual voice of you and it's AI and there's just some like lack of trust or loss of trust, break of trust, whatever you want to call it, between the potential coach and the client. And on top of that, not only is it like messed up, it's like how many people how many people do you actually have asking you about your service or commenting to you on Instagram? Like these are not these are not even close to businesses the size of Stronger You, and I would answer any
Mm.
message I ever got. And I'm not saying that to like, oh, I was the best at answering. Like I probably have a crazy, like mental problem now. But if you have like two inquiries a week and like 12 likes on a post, what the fuck are you doing using AI to answer people? Even if it's a link, and I'll argue with people on this. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but even if it's a link where it's like comment and I'll send you my free meal prep guide for moms. Like, okay, then you send it. Be like, hey, Donna, cool. Thanks for reaching out. Here you go. Because anytime I get an automated message, and I get a ton from coaches that don't even have a lot of, like, I'll just try to talk to a coach and I'll get one. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, I'm trying to talk to you, not a virtual assistant, not an AI assistant. Like, I'm not interested in what you're selling, dude. I just want to talk to you about whatever the hell's going on. And it's like there's, like you said, there's this movement of like working yourself kind of out of the job because your job as a coach, especially in the AI and GLP-1 world that we have currently, you have to be a human. And there are a ton of people that are gonna go AI, they're going to go GLP-1, but there's still a shit ton of people that are like, I want a human.
Mm.
And some of those people could probably do just as well with AI, but they don't want that. They don't trust it yet. They want the human connection. And if you're not a human, like why are you in this business? And I think a lot of people gravitate to this business because they don't want to do anything with real people because real people, and I could speak from experience, are like intimidating, man. I was shy as shit growing up.
Mm.
I'm still a little shy and uncomfortable with stuff, but I know that if we're helping these people with their arguably one of the most important things in their life, which is their health, like why are you not trying to be human? Why are you going online just posting things and all fishing in the same pond? Like get out there and meet real people. And I always joke like if I was to consult with coaches, I'd be like, "Listen, your homework this week, I want you to talk to 5 strangers and I want every one of those strangers to know what you do for work." And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable. How do I do that?" Okay, there's a guy in a coffee shop. Be like, "Hey, I see you in here all the time. Like, what are you working on?" And then he tells you, and then he says, "What are you working on?" "Oh, I'm an online coach. I help people lose fat, feel better, whatever your little headline is today." Like every single person you meet
Mm.
can probably benefit from what you offer. And then if you're doing shit like that, you're meeting, maybe you're getting a client, maybe you're getting their wife, maybe you're getting their uncle, maybe you're getting the whole gym that they go to, all because you went out of your comfort zone and talked to strangers. Which, even if it doesn't get you a client, is that not a good skill to have?
I've been working as a personal trainer over 15 years. The best
Yeah.
thing I ever did was just to be on the floor, visible, smile, friendly, talk to people in the gym. And when you are wearing the uniform in a commercial gym, at least back then, and I still think it works today, it's kind of like you're the bouncer at a club. And I've worked in clubs, I've owned one. Hell, even the first year that I was working as a personal trainer, me and a bunch of buddies, we also moonlit as bouncers at a club. And guess what? You have social permission to interact with everybody, no matter how much resting bitch face, and they'll often come and interact with you. And again, a lot of my closest friends came out of that stuff. A lot of people that you'd look at and go, well, that they'd even say themselves, I never would hire a personal trainer. But guess what? Those people turn around and did after quite a while. Referred me business because they knew me. I had them on social media, connected. I'd add people to Facebook very liberally. And they'd also refer me a lot of business. And that stuff has compounded over years. I just think about this as the surface area of luck. What you describe is you are increasing your surface area of luck by getting out and interacting with people. And I think if you, to your point, most of the people we're talking about don't have anywhere near enough interactions to be automating stuff. Like, Lord knows, I can respond to everything with a voice video message, at the very least some texting, and I can handle that volume being a full-time in-person trainer. Here's what I believe, and I've been predicting this for a little while. I'll die on this hill. I think that the quote high ticket, low support online coaching, one-on-one model will die.
I
I
hope
think
it does. I hope it
I
does.
I feel bad. I hope it
I
does
feel
too.
like it is an absolute fucking ripoff.
There are people who mentor in that space that are friends of mine. I think are really good people, but there are also plenty of scummy people.
Yeah.
And I think they're literally trying to teach coaches to systemize, automate, scale themselves out of interacting with people. And I think they're going to get squashed on two ends. And we're both saying people want real human connection. They're going to want to interact with someone who has a high relationship. Or, and this is another thing I think is influencing all this stuff, is the the proliferation of really high quality apps and AI-based support.
Mhm.
Just think like, hey, my sponsor, Macros First. I love them. I
Yep.
think they're great. There are other really great nutrition coaching apps out there. They're getting better all the time. Their integrations and I think you will say, I believe you said that, we're not there yet where someone could take a photo of their food and it can calculate all the macros, but there's a good chance that AI and algorithms will get to the point where it gets that simple.
Well, have you heard of Cal AI? They just got bought by MyFitnessPal for like
No.
tons of money. No one knows the
Yeah.
number, but a lot of money. So some people out there think it's a thing. They had a
Hmm.
ton of users. The founder's been on My First Million podcast a couple times. But yeah, these things they're close. They're not there yet. They are probably more helpful than doing nothing with tracking, but nothing beats a trusty food scale.
And I honestly believe, like again, because I use macros first,
Yeah.
easy to use. It's way better than the early iterations of things like MyFitnessPal. It's
I,
cleaned up a lot of the problems,
dude,
like
I
just having
wish.
you search for a banana and you get
Oh,
or an egg and you get like 80 entries that are all different, right? There's no more of that bullshit.
I wish we had that when I had my business. Dude, we had everybody on MyFitnessPal, and back in the day it was good. And then it just got really crappy. And it got really hard to work with because like you said, dude, people would pick chicken and it'd be like a chicken breast and it would have like 20 grams of fat. And I'm like, what the hell is this entry? Like, where did this thing come from? So we eventually made a bunch of stronger U entries, so it was legit. But man,
Yeah, but I really do think that that high ticket, low effort stuff is going to get squashed, and then you get coaches where, I mean, I understand the idea of building a business. I mean, you did. You're one of the blueprints where you'd hire people under you, and I know for the longest time possible you were doing the intakes yourself and interacting with people, but at a certain point you have people who are responsible for that. But I feel like, going online and having these teenage appointment setters and closers, the ones that are always in our DMs all the time, I just
what's
block them instantly.
dude, I just hate all the language setters. Like, what is
Yeah.
what is it? Just dude, like, what is this? How did this happen? Like, and here's another reason why I want to scare people away from high ticket. And now when I say high ticket, I mean like 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 a month, like coaching. Like, I'm not talking like three, four, 500 a month. Like, cool, that's fine. But high ticket stuff. So you have to think about how if you're going to grow your business 100% on the internet, which I think seems like a easier way to do it. I think now it's clogged up, man.
Mm.
There's a lot of a buddy of ours, like Goodman, he'll be like, "Oh, it's not saturated." I think the market is incredibly saturated on the internet. I
Mm.
don't think it's that saturated to regular people walking around the street. And what I mean is when I think of a high ticket coach, say someone has 5 clients and they're paying $3,000 a month. Like that's pretty good money. But now what happens when this person gets results and they walk down the street and they see a friend and they're like, "Yo, what are you doing, dude? Like something's working." And I know like I might have made someone feel uncomfortable because I use the example of someone commenting on a body and I know people hate that.
Mm.
But listen, if you get a little bit jacked and like as a dude, like if anybody is like, "Yo, you working out?" You're like, "Yeah, man, like that feels good." So if
Die
you
on this hill. You know what? Let's go there. I will die on this hill.
hold on, let me
I have,
let me finish
okay,
this. Let me
you
let me go
go.
back to that.
Yeah.
So I know this is your podcast and you run the
No,
show, but
you're the star.
let me finish because I'll forget because you know, have a lot on my mind these days. Um, this person walks down the street, they get a compliment, and that person is like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, I have this coach. He's on the internet. He'll send you blah blah blah. He'll talk to you, whatever." And they're like, "Yo, what does that cost?" And he's like, $3,000 a month. And that person is like, "Fuck that," and they walk away.
Mm.
But what happened when people were like, "Oh, these people, they care about me. They give me advice. They update my numbers, my information, blah blah blah. $159 a month." We had everybody that ever came across one of our clients and was like, "What are you doing?" They were signing up because 159 a month was like nothing. And now if I were to coach again, I would obviously charge more than that. And that was like, pre-inflation numbers, so whatever. But if you want to grow your business off like a big network, you cannot charge absurd amounts of money. You can only sell so many things. And when you're in the business of building walking and talking billboards all out in the world, and someone asks them, "What are you doing for those results?" And they say, "Well, it's this, and it costs $3,000." They don't think of anything that you just told them about how great it is. They think that's 3 grand, and that's insane. So if you want to play the numbers game and do high ticket stuff, like you might have 20 clients or 10 clients or 15, whatever, and make good money. But those people are in a business that naturally churns people. They're going to be off your program relatively soon. Dude, you constantly sell. Like you're not a coach. You're a content creator and a salesman. And I don't think that's the industry you wanted to be in.
I think there's a very rare handful of people who can actually do, and it tends to come under a concierge style thing. So let's think about Allie Gilbert. Allie's a good friend of mine. She's been on the podcast before. Allie owns the brand position she's the queen of men's health, right? She's got a team under her. She knows hormonal stuff. She speaks a language, she walks it, she knows. And, she's got people like Brian Cron who are working on her team. It's a
Oh
great
yeah,
friend of mine.
yep.
And Allie's great with her messaging. The stuff is definitely premium, but she is in that world where she can get access to those people. She's
And
not,
she's earned the right. Like a lot of people have
yeah.
earned the right to do this.
Mm.
Like Joe Schmo coach that just got certified that's jacked and doesn't want a real job is trying to come out of the gate charging 2 grand, 3 grand a month. Dude, I would charge when I was doing it $159 a month and I would out coach the shit out of these people.
And I'll give another example. My friend Natalia Mello. Again, she very aspirational branding, very clear on her language, and she has also a concierge business and system. The coaches under her,
Yeah.
and again, she's a former Miss Olympia, right? She's been doing this a really long time, and they own their their position in the industry. I always use Brianna Battles as an example. She owns pregnancy, postpartum athleticism. Joel Jamieson, who doesn't even coach anybody one-on-one outside of maybe like a few very high-level UFC fighters at this point, he owns
Yeah.
conditioning, right? The conditioning side of strength conditioning, particularly in the MMA space. He owns HRV as
Yeah.
an entity. And so these are people who've really poured themselves into this brand position. It's not the I help
Yeah.
31 to 33-year-old mothers with 2.2 children. That's not a brand position. You don't own anything there. That's just a tagline in your bio. It's generic and it's undifferentiated. And I know the coaches listening, that might hurt some feelings, but I want you to understand that that's not a brand position.
Yeah. The interesting thing though, and if any of those people listen to this, I'll probably offend them by saying this, but like
Mm.
assuming someone is just like, I want to get healthier, I want to get more fit, I want to be better at this race, whatever. Like, there's probably coaches that charge 1/10 of what they charge that could do just as good.
Mhm.
So like I I I fail to see even like the concierge medicine stuff. Like I'm talking like those doctors that charge like 20 grand a year, 50
We're talking
grand a
about
year.
Peter Attia because he's
Oh fuck,
cancelable
we
now
can't talk about him
because
anymore. Yeah.
yeah,
But like
because
that what do they so in like some of the circles I'm in and these dudes are like they got money, they want to just waste it. They're like, "Oh, I want a concierge doctor." And the consensus is it's a waste of money. You don't need to spend that much for the same result. So yeah, I still have a hard time coming to grips with the fact that some people charge like $5,000 for something that I know my buddy Derek can do it for probably less than 300 bucks a month and do better.
shout out Derek Stanley.
Yeah.
What I was going to say earlier, the hill I will die on is I have a lot of clients that love hearing that they're making progress. Now, I always have this conversation. I always say, listen, number one is I know what their goals are. I know what they value.
Yeah.
I understand what they've been doing to achieve this aesthetic goal. I know that there's not some sort of goofy, disordered shit going on. I've got that relationship with them. And I will also say to them when I say, listen, like you're looking, and I'm careful with my words. I'm like, you're looking smaller, you're looking more athletic. I don't generally say you're looking thinner, right? Dal's a
Yeah.
good example right now. She's currently doing an aggressive fat loss phase
Yeah.
that, she's been posting about on her story. She's as small as she's ever been. And this is a woman who's lost, God, I think it's over 130 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I trained her yesterday and I told her, it's like, you're looking tiny. But I know that that
Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
language is
And you're
something
friends with her.
she's
Yeah.
happy with, is exactly what she's pursuing. I know she's got an exceptional relationship with what's going on with her nutrition. And there's a lot of people who want to hear this. And I think that this Overton window on like what you're not allowed to say that you alluded to really got way the fuck out of hand that everybody was scared shitless to tell people, look, you're looking healthy. And then the thing I always couch it with is I say, you know what? I say this, but this does not mean that I believe there's like, any value in how you appear. And therefore, at times when you haven't been this small or this lean, it doesn't mean that you have less value. And I always say that to clients. But if you see someone walking down the road, a guy, he's looking jacked or whatever, and you can pay that guy a compliment, then that's generally fine. You got to know your demographics, but
Yeah.
going up to some random woman on the street and like commenting on, that's probably a bridge too far. I wouldn't recommend doing that. You just got to know your audience. But
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
want to hear this praise. They do.
They do. And it's like we wanna argue against like human nature and
Mm,
evolution and the way the world works because like we
mm,
don't want to and that was like to be honest like when I talk about all the reasons why I sold my company, you have to think about when I did it in 2021. What was going on at that point? Everybody was like, don't talk about fat loss.
mm.
And it got to the point where, and I hope some of my coaches listen to this, my old coaches, because everyone's like, oh, stronger you shut down. It's because of this, because of that. Mike left, whatever. It's like, well, but all you guys could have been posting like the stories of your client success. But
Mm.
everybody got off social because social is bad for the mind. It's bad for the children's future, blah blah blah, which could be correct. But where are so many like interactions happening? You can go in person, you could go online, but like so many coaches just stopped showing up over the last couple of years. And that's not just our coaches. That was so many coaches in the industry. They're like, well, I can't show this because someone that's not that is going to be offended. Or I can't say this because health is complicated and blah blah blah. Like this person's gonna get mad at me. So like it was like this big shift away from like sharing any picture, sharing any stories, sharing anything that alluded to fat loss is good. People should probably focus on it because there's people out there that can't do it. But then my argument is always what situation or thing in the world like are you able to talk about because there's always going to be something or someone that didn't get that. Someone gets a promotion. Oh, I didn't get a promotion. You offended me. Don't ever talk about promotions again. It's like it's such a slippery slope and that's where we were going with this stuff. And I think we're still there. We're coming out of it a little bit, but we're still there. I don't know why it became so taboo to be like, listen, if you're 100 pounds And even this, I almost said words that someone would argue with. If you're 100 pounds overweight, someone would say, well, how do you know it's 100 pounds overweight? Because if they lost that, how are they ideal weight? Like, okay, you know what I'm saying. Someone's 300 pounds and 5'3", that's not healthy. If you lose 100 pounds and you ate Twinkies, you're probably going to automatically be healthy.
You're automatically like that's
Yeah,
been
so like,
studied. Yes, and someone's
and
going to
there's people
distort that
like that.
argument, but yes.
Dude, there's people, and I talk to my friends in the industry about this. There are people that will not talk to me anymore because I have language like this. Because if they're associated with someone saying that if someone is obese and they lose weight, they will be healthier, they're like, "Oh, I can't have that message anymore."
And there's this, we big thing with GLP-1 medications is,
Yeah,
the fear over losing muscle mass. It's legitimate. It's probably one of the biggest concerns. You get someone who might have 10 or 15 pounds that they would like to lose. It's not even like metabolically, health-wise, they even need to lose it. And then they
right.
go and do one of these sort of things. Yes. Are they at risk of, if they're not resistance training, losing more muscle and being detrimental long-term? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in your example, you take the person who's 300 pounds. They're 5'3". They're probably 160, 170 pounds overweight in theory, let's just say.
Yeah.
And that person goes on a GLP-1 agonist medication. They are not resistance training. They lose 100 pounds. And let's say they lose, 20 pounds of muscle. They lose 80 pounds of body fat because that's probably what's going to happen. Guess what? They're healthier. I have zero issue with it. Someone's going to freak out. Now, do we want that person to resistance train? Fuck yes, please, for the love of God, I want you to resistance train. But in the absence of that, if they lose that weight, they are going to be much healthier because, yes, there are people who have higher degrees of body fat, low muscle mass. We tend to call them skinny fat.
Yeah.
But if somebody is moving around, pretty reasonably active on a daily basis, they're not completely like sedentary to the point where they cannot move or but if that person is actually moving around a fair bit, I know a lot of people who are really big humans with a lot of body fat. Guess what?
Yeah.
Structurally, they have a shit ton of muscle. Look at their calves, right? Look
Yeah.
at their quads. They're actually super jacked
Under
under a fat
muscled
suit.
and like very obese is they have so much insurance muscle that they could just drop and be fine.
Yes, and that's exactly the point. Now, they get lower, lower, lower. Do I want that person? Explicitly, I will beg and scream that I want them to resistance train and preserve muscle past a certain point. But in the absence of their will to do it, if they just get on this and then they notice that they're 100 pounds down, they're feeling different, they've got more energy, their blood markers, they're going to improve. Explicitly, they will improve. And
Yeah.
then maybe that is the gateway to get them to do the other health promoting behaviors. Guess what? It's a net win. They can build back if they overshot on losing a bit of muscle, they can build it back pretty easily if they're dedicated.
Yeah. You'll have coaches that say, "Well, I won't work with someone that won't resistance train." And I'll say, "Okay, well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to go work with someone that's probably a worse coach than you. So you should probably feel obligated to get them through the door and then introduce resistance training as you go."
I'll interrupt this episode for a quick but important side quest. While I don't think everybody needs to track nutrition all the time, tracking is one of the most powerful tools to make sure you're not eating too much or too little. And Macros First is my go-to app for me and my clients. Macros First has a free barcode scanner, and a premium version comes with a bunch of cool stuff to make managing your nutrition easier. Like, one, AI search. AI is everywhere now, where you can speak or type the foods you wish to save and log everything without having to search for each individual ingredient. Two, import recipes from a website. Save time creating recipes manually by importing all ingredients and instructions from your favorite recipe websites. No more searching for each ingredient one by one, just paste in the website. And three, and this one's a big one for nutrition coaches, follow unlimited friends so you can follow all your clients. And there's a lot more cool features. You can try the premium version of Macros First free for 14 days. Just download Macros First from the App Store. And during setup, you'll be asked, how did you hear about us? Type in the code Andrew.
All right. Can someone still build a successful nutrition coaching company now?
My God, yes. Dude, there's a few people that stand out. I think of Casey Hines, one of our old clients that made a company, Rooted, which is crushing it. One of my old coaches, Karina, she's an RD. She just, with the Stronger You shutdown, is crushing it the last few months. Like these things are possible. I think the things that build a good nutrition coaching company will always build a good, not even nutrition coaching company, a good company. If you have a good product and you do the right things, it is relatively easy to succeed. I think it's a cop out. And to be honest, this is probably ego, but like it was frustrating to see the announcement of Stronger You shutting down and then people being like, "Oh, GLP-1s, oh, AI." It's like, no, like I don't think that was the thing.
Mm.
I think I have many thoughts. I probably won't share them all, but it's things change. I think if you're not front and center of the business and you're expecting people to support a business with no like person behind it or soul behind it, it's not going to do as well. And I think
Mm.
that's what everybody needs to do with their businesses now is to be a face, to have passion. I think a lot of people that struggle are, uh, to put it bluntly, very boring. Don't be boring and don't be safe. Like, don't worry about getting every single person to like you. There are people that think I am such a jerk. It was never my clients. My clients loved me. But like, my God, like, dude, anyone that meets me, I am super chill. I will try to talk to them about anything. But there are people that think they know me, the story, whatever. Or I say something on a podcast and like, oh, he's a jerk. What? Okay, man. Okay. But I'm not going to sit here and just try to play it safe with every single thing I say all the time because it's not
Mm.
me. It's boring. It doesn't create any fire, any passion, anything.
Timing is obviously a key
Oh,
component
of
to
course.
how successful Stronger You was. Certainly Precision Nutrition, right? They were kind of the original.
Yeah.
But how much is you, I think you alluded to this being the face, how much is the founder and the key architect? So you mentioned John Berardi earlier. Krista
Yep.
Scott Dixon was obviously a really critical part, architect, face of Precision Nutrition. Brian St. Pierre. You've got, I mean, yourself with Stronger You. And, it is now public knowledge. Brad Dieter has publicly
Yep.
announced that he has left. He stepped down from his role as CEO of Macros Inc.
Yep.
So, how much do you think the founder is critical for the building, the maintenance, the legacy of that kind of company that hires, has a lot of coaches under the umbrella, and has gained sort of critical mass?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to like. There's like a founder magic that I think a lot of businesses have. I think you have to think about like why a lot of businesses start, how they start, the
Mm.
passion involved, the purpose involved, and then when that doesn't, when that person isn't there anymore, that things just the morale changes. And I'm a big believer in like culture, morale, and just like vibe at a company is so important. And I even came across somebody the other day talking about AI and how open AI, like a lot of people there, like it's rocky. Like people are leaving internally. Like there's a lot of, I don't know, animosity about certain things. And this guy's like, what the hell do I care about morale at this company? It's like, well, because if morale isn't good, what do you think happens to the company? So there's something about the founders that just
Mm.
kind of bring that. And it's weird to talk about because like it's me trying to say like, hey, I did this thing good or I'm important about for this thing. So that's always a little uncomfortable. But I think it's incredibly important. I mean, there's tons of stories about founders leaving and everything being fine. There's tons of stories about founders leaving and things not going well. So I think it all depends on the business. And I think in nutrition coaching, like a community-based like support system, I think founders are probably more important than even the founder realizes. Like I didn't think I was that important. I think people thought I was more important than I am. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle there. But yeah, I mean, when I see it, these things shut down, and then I see, well, it was different after this. It's like, yeah, of course it was different. Like I couldn't make all the decisions anymore. Like because the decisions I made were just like, yeah, I'm in a coffee shop. Like, yeah,
Mm.
I think that'll be cool. Let me do it. It's different in corporate world. There's a lot more. It's weird. There's a lot more time spent making decisions, a lot more people making decisions, and you
Mm.
think that automatically means better decisions, but it's sometimes like you can't you can't quantify the founder's experience of like watching clients all day every day for however many years Like you can't figure that out with spreadsheets. There's just this like innate feeling about certain things. Playing like chess in a way of like I'll make this decision. I know what will happen over here. I know what that will cause over there, and let's hope we don't mess it all up.
Are we talking about outliers? I mean, we've mentioned basically three companies, two in particular, Stronger
Yeah.
You and Precision Nutrition. Are these just outliers that don't have much that can relate to the coach who's got a small team under them? Or do you think the principles are tried and true? Is you guys just built bigger things?
Yeah, I think the principles are tried and true. I think, like you mentioned timing, and obviously timing was huge,
Mm.
but people, and this is me probably being defensive, but like people act like we didn't have competition. Like these conferences were arguably bigger back in the day with all the online coaches. Like it was swarming. There was other companies doing it. So like there's more competition now, but I think people use it as a cop out and they're like, "Oh, well, it's just busier than when you were doing it." It's like, "Yeah, but I don't see you doing what I was doing." And like I see friends of mine, they're like, "Yo, dude, I just got tagged in this community group." And then I answered every question. I messaged every person. And then tomorrow I'm gonna ask a question, so I'm more present. It's like there's so many little strategies that like people don't mess with because they follow some business influencer that's like, do this way, do it this way, do it that way. And I'm like, man, I wish you guys could just like I mean, scroll my Instagram or Facebook from 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. Like, dude, it was crazy what we were doing. And people just aren't doing some of that stuff now. And I don't understand it.
So what would you do now? Let's
Oh,
say hypothetically, you're starting a company all over again from scratch. Yes, you have
yeah.
all your knowledge, you have all your experience. It's both you and what you might say to another coach. What would you do the same? What would you do differently?
Yeah. I would absolutely give everybody my cell phone and encourage them to text me whenever they want. I'm going to be all over the place with this answer, by the way.
Mm.
Um, I would have laptop stickers identifying what I do and encouraging people to talk to me. That one I used
Hmm.
to have. Hi, I'm Mike. Ask me nutrition questions. If you're shy, go to strongeryou.com. I would have t-shirts. I would basically wear only, and Hormozy does this, right? And people don't like Hormozy because he's a workaholic, right? Okay, the guy crushes. He knows what he's talking about. Um, he doesn't want the life that most of us want. So let him do what he wants. But he just wears his attire. I would just wear my Stronger You stuff. Like it's all I had. Now I just have a bunch of plain t-shirts. Um, wear your logos everywhere. Just get people talking to you. Join groups, your local community group. Become the person who everybody talks about when nutrition fitness stuff comes up. Ask questions in those groups. Let people help you with certain things. Even if you have an answer, just post something in there. Get the whole community, get your whole neighborhood responding to you because you know what that is? It's brand recognition. You are your brand. If they see you, they will automatically start thinking of what you do. I would answer people incredibly fast. I think there's this, and I understand it,
Mm.
there's this need to get off social media and get off your phones and go touch grass and all this stuff. But I think the way to get that is to work really hard at the thing that works now, which is be very present
Mm.
in uh, I don't know, in an industry where a lot of people are getting away from being present. I would, and this is going to be controversial, I would have people track food because still the problem is people don't know how much to eat. And it doesn't have
Mm.
to be all three macros. It could be calories, protein, it could be fiber, calories, protein, it could be all sorts of things. But the fact that everybody just kind of gravitated to eat clean again is just
Mm.
like your clients aren't getting results. If your clients don't get results, which is a matter of not having information as a coach to monitor, adjust, and give feedback on, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to churn, they're going to go away, and your business is going to falter. Um, man, there's so many. I would have weekly check-ins. There's people that don't have clients check in. They just give information and they're like, "Oh, well, talk to me when you need me." And it's like, well, these people are shy, intimidated. You as a coach have to be proactive And
Mm.
I was big on having our coaches, especially those first few weeks, be proactive. Because like when I talk to coaches, they're like, I don't even know what questions to ask you. So I'm like, okay, well, here's a bunch of things that maybe you can ask me. So like coaches can prompt their clients to be like, hey, do you have any questions about like meal prep? Hey, it's the weekend. Hey, it's like this will blow someone's mind. Hey, client, it's Saturday, and I know weekends are usually tough for you. Is there anything I could help with? Like, why is that so weird? People won't touch their cell phone and message a client on a Saturday because that's like somewhere the world determined like you do not work on a Saturday. It's like, okay, but these things all compound. And I don't know how this stronger you thing really, like, I don't know how it all worked. It's just a million little, that's an exaggeration, obviously. It's a bunch of little things that we just started to notice that we just did more of. I would send every new client, if I was a coach right now, a thank you card. We had bracelets made, Stronger You bracelets. And I was like, okay, that's like a totem. When they put that on and they look down, they think of us. What happens when they think of us? They eat better. Maybe they go to the Facebook group and they comment and like things. So like we had our Facebook group so like dialed in terms of like the vibe in there that if someone was a new client, they were like encouraged to get in there as fast as humanly possible because when they got in there, they saw all these happy people. So if anybody is like, "Oh man, I don't know if this is for me." They go into your group or they go around other clients and it could be 10 like active people. They're going to be like, "Oh, this is for me. Like this is awesome." So I mean, dude, you got to just lock me in a room and tell me to go and I could just say all sorts of shit that we did. But I
Right.
want people to know it's possible. It is not like if I were starting now, these things would work. Not because of me and, I have a following or whatever. It's not that big. But people, if you do these things and you get uncomfortable and you just shoot your shots and you enjoy answering these questions, I don't see how it doesn't work.
Building the company, was it a byproduct of just doing the work and taking care of the clients really well? And then it was, hey, we need more coaches. I know that you guys produce a lot of internal coaches who were clients who just were so good at, I think it made them a great part of the community and the ecosystem. I don't believe you sought growth and
No, I
scale for the
mean,
sake
I
of
I
that.
loved it. Like it was great and I wanted it, but I treat it like how I think people should treat fat loss. If you have a fat loss goal and say it's 50 pounds and you're like, I gotta lose 50 pounds. All right, this week, okay, I gotta lose 49 more. Oh my God, I went back up. Oh my God, I gotta lose 50 more. Imagine that if we're like, all right, we gotta get to 10 million, 11, 12, whatever the hell it is. That's gonna stress everybody out. What if we're like, our clients are happy, our coaches are happy, these people are getting results, we're showing up in all the right places, we're having fun. Like, isn't that enough? And like you do these things. So like if you want fat loss to happen, go to bed, start prepping your meals, eat your protein, go for walks, work out, drink your water, like have some friends around you with like similar goals, and the shit just happens. So with our business success, it just happened. It
Mm.
was everything like, dude, I got so busy as a solo coach, and then I was like, oh crap, I need help. And I had people like kind of ready to go that were watching me, friends of mine, whatever. I'm like, I need you. All right, let me talk to a lawyer, draft up a document, contract, whatever. Here you go. Here's how much we're gonna pay you. Is that cool? All right, that's cool. And then we just multiplied. And obviously we added pieces as we went,
Mm.
like internal staff. I brought my buddy Mike in to be COO. Um, and it just, dude, it was always just a reaction. And I know that's like not the it's not the traditional business method because you kind of have to make plans. But we never really had the stress of like, oh my God, we need 500 more clients next week, and we need that means we need to hire 3 coaches. Like these, it was just like, hey, you guys, you look busy. All right, let's get some coaches on that are in my inbox. Like that was it. And that's why like I'm such a different type of business person. Like I'm not the planner, organizer type. I'm the oh shit, this is what's happening. Here's what we need to do type.
Well, it clearly worked. Obviously, you still post your musings, your thoughts,
Very,
unvarnished
very
opinions.
seldom. Yeah.
Your social media is still pretty good when you pop up. So everybody can still follow you if they're not already. It's on Instagram at Mike Doehla, Doehla. And sometimes you'll say something that will get people's attention. It's worth listening to. And it seems like when you and I collectively are saying the same thing and pushing back against something industry, seems like the industry stands up and takes notice of it, like it did recently
Yeah,
with
I
the
don't.
AI automation shit.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo though. I don't think anybody gives a shit what I say. Like I truly believe that. That's not like fake being humble. I think there's just a lot going on and a lot of different people, and like our shelf life in this industry is so short that like, dude, I mean, when we were coming up, it was like there was like five people we learned from. Now I don't even know like who do people like where do they go? And I think that's maybe Precision Nutrition's problem is they they weren't the place to go get certified. Can't tell you who is. I still think most of their stuff is great, although I disagree with the palms and the thumb thing. But you know,
Distill it all down. Mike says track your nutrition, and I mean
yeah,
the ad is going to be in this episode, but big shout out to Macros First, my sponsor. And if you guys want to actually try the premium for like 14 days, I could get you an extended free trial. Just use the word Andrew when you're asked where you found out. It'll be in the ad. It's in the show notes. Mike, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. This was. I know, again, listeners, especially for the enthusiasts, I still hope there's a lot of lessons in here. This one definitely was a bit more coach centric. I've had a few episodes recently that bias this way, but they've been popular. One with Jason Brown, where we really go into depth on Jason's like just being open about his fears and struggles. And I think a lot of coaches just feel very isolated and all the shit that scares them to death. I'm working on a Substack article on this topic. And I had Dean Somerset on recently, and we talk a lot about career development too. So I'm going to play around with this stuff. It's still going to be mostly, broader topics that I think broader listenership. But I think the coaches will appreciate these things when we go deep. So thank you, my friend. Appreciate
yeah.
you.
I hope I'm of some value to them these days.